Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's a special video for you guys today. This time I'm doing a box opening of the new Albaz Strike Structure Decks. I've been really excited for this ever since it was first announced, and yeah, let's get cracking. So just to save time on, ripping up the box and everything, I figured I'd just go and get the deck itself out, just ready, and yeah, so let's see what we got first going off. Okay, so looks like at the front is going to be Tri-Brigade Mercourier. I believe that's how you actually pronounce it. So yeah, from what I know, this is going to be like the new in-archetype hand trap, basically. So when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as its material, you can send this card from your hand or face up on the field to the grave, negate that effect. If this card is banished, you can add from your deck one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it, except itself. So it's a really cool card. So yeah. There's a lot of cool new support cards for the Albaz, Albaz archetype, basically, and that's what really gets me excited for this. So, anyway, sorry for my stuttering because, again, just kind of like excited, and it's hard for me to just like concentrate here. But anyway, let me go ahead and finish ripping this open real quick. Sorry, it didn't rip all the way properly. Okay, I got it. All right, so of course we already got the Tri-Brigade Mercourier. Next is, and this is actually the one I was also pretty excited for, Spriggan's Kit. So for those who don't have access to Albaz, this card actually acts as a secondary budget alternative to that card. So Spriggan's Kit says, if you have a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add to your hand one branded spell or trap that is either banished or in your deck or in your graveyard. Place that card from your hand. Place one card from your hand to the bottom of the deck, and then of course you can only use this effect once per turn. So yeah, Spriggan's Kit is actually pretty good. Next we got the Golden Sorcel. Not really sure if this is going to be used too often, but basically when a monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate the attack. So basically it can act as a form of a sort of a pseudo battle fader. It doesn't end the battle phase, but like if you want to protect yourself from like a incoming Zeus or something, this can actually bypass that. So it's also a light monster, so that's pretty nice too. And 1800 attack points is pretty sizable. And of course, like the same clause, if you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material, you can destroy that monster that declared the attack. If a monster is banished face up except during damage step, you can banish this card from your field or your graveyard, special summon one light spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard whose attack equals to its own defense. You can only use this effect of Golden Sorcel once per turn. So, not too bad. And of course, let's not forget the fusion monsters, Mirror Jade, the Ice Dragon. So, this basically has a quick effect where you can banish one card, one monster on the field. Of course, you can't use use this effect the next turn, but keep in mind, this is the next turn. So, if you do it during your own turn, you can't use it during your opponent's turn, but then you can actually make it live again on your own turn. It just requires a Fallen of Albaz, one fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster to make it. So pretty easy, honestly. So yeah, Mirror Jade should be easy enough just to make on its own. And if this card, this fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn. So it's basically a nuke on the end phase, so that's pretty nice. And just pretty broken overall. Next, we got the Libellion, the Searing Dragon. Basically, it's Albion, but the only difference is that this shuffles back the fusion materials to perform a additional fusion summon. Of course, for the rest of this turn, this card cannot attack. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. But again, that's not going to be a problem considering that this deck is primarily fusion. So yeah, Libellion is great. I just really love the artworks behind these guys. And here it is, the big one, Branded Fusion. Basically, Shadow Fusion 2.0. You have to summon a Fallen of Albaz fusion monster off this, but again, not too bad considering that, yeah, there's going to be plenty of targets for this card. So yeah, Branded Fusion is going to be crazy. Branded Sword, this is one of the new trap cards. Banish any number of branded spell or traps from your graveyard, special summon that many Ice Blade tokens, Dragon, Dark type, level 8, and they're all going to be with 2500 attack and defense. You can banish this card from your grave, then target one of your banished monsters that is Fallen of Albaz or mentions it, add that monster to your hand. You can only use one branded sword effect per turn and only once that turn. So this is basically, yeah, like a scapegoat, and it also recycles cards. So Yeah, that's really good. And of course, we got the new branded Retribution. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons monsters, return to the extra deck one fusion monster you control or two fusion monsters in your graveyard that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material. And if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one branded spell or trap in your grave except itself, add it to your hand. So also a good card. I definitely see this being played as possibly a one-of because it does have, it is a little bit situational, but overall it is still a pretty good card. And that pretty much rounds up the hollows. So for the commons, we got the Fallen of Albaz, of course, a Super Poly on Lex, and of course we have his dragon counterpart, Albion. We do have Dogmatic of Fleur de Lis, which is an amazing reprint. Although it is kind of weird to see it as a common, but overall, not complaining about it. One Red MD. We also got a Kaiju. Actually, I think this deck has two of them. Yep. Which we'll get to momentarily. So yeah, Thunder King, a pretty good reprint. Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. Here it is. Radian, the multi-dimensional Kaiju. So yeah, that's pretty good. So you basically get to give your opponent a Kaiju. You can go into Fallen of Albaz and super poly them basically to go into whatever you need, really. We also got Artifact Side, which is actually a pretty good reprint as well. We also got the baby Chaos Dragons too. So can't go wrong with that. Starleaf Favorite, another great reprint. We also got a Keeper of Dragon Magic, Summoner Monk, and of course the big ones here, Ghost Ogre and Veiler. So actually, come to think of it, this might be the first structure deck where we actually get two hand traps. I mean, like actual hand traps. And also, cool thing is that this is the first time we also get Ghost Ogre as a common, if I'm not mistaken. So who knows? Yeah, I could be wrong. We also got Omni Dragon Brotar, and that pretty much rounds up the monsters themselves. Oops, did not mean to bump the camera there. Move these to the side. For our spells, we got Branded Loss, which is actually a new support card too. Kind of wish this was also super rare, but oh well. The activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. So basically, Magical Meltdown. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. If you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So not too shabby. Also got a reprint of Branded in White, which came as a super rare. Branded Bond, I've seen this before. It's not too bad. Fusion Gate. Fusion Recycling Plan, which is weird. It's like this, we have Fusion Substitute rather than Polymerization, which is still pretty good, but I think Polymerization probably would have been the better pick here, but it's whatever. We also got Gold Stark, which is pretty cool. Pot of Extravagance is a big reprint as well. So this deck actually has a lot of good reprints. So yeah, I'm really amazed that this is probably gonna be like one of the best structure decks we've ever had. Probably the best deck ever, as a matter of fact. So I'm pretty happy with it. Called by the Grave, which is limited. Dark Ruler No More, definitely another good reprint. Screams of the Branded, which y'all probably have seen in my Despia deck. Judgment of the Branded. Necrofusion is pretty cool. Back to the Front, which is another amazing reprint. Warning Point, I believe this is also has had a common printing in the past too, but I could be wrong. I know for sure it was a secret rare. We also got Tikaboo, Dimensional Barrier, Waking the Dragon, and of course the rest of the reprints. One Titaniclad, which definitely needed another reprint. Brigand, Spring the Iron Nest Dragon, which funny enough has only ever had a common printing. I kind of wish this also had a hollow printing too. And of course Albion, so definitely needed a reprint because the only other printing we've had is an ultra rare, which actually still has some value to it. So yeah. And of course we got the tokens. We got Albaz the Shrouded, Ecclesia the Exiled, Tri-Brigade, and of course we still got a couple more here, the Virtuous Vestals, and Aluber the Dogmatic. So all amazing tokens. I think my favorites are definitely going to be the Ecclesia and the Aluber. Not going to lie, I think those are the coolest ones. But yeah, that's pretty much rounds up our box opening, or rather structure deck opening, whatever way you want to call it. So anyway, be sure to stay tuned. I'll have a budget deck profile for you guys as soon as I can. And yeah, I'll catch you guys again next time.